Right, just to give you a bit of an introduction to the course, this is a very short little thing. It's just so you can, I'm sorry you can see me, I'm looking a bit sweaty today because it is a very hot day in the middle of the summer. This is a course in corpus linguistics. This course used to be in the first year of the master's degree. Last year it changed over to the second year. It doesn't really make any difference. It's slightly fewer credits as far as I'm concerned. That doesn't make a big difference really. The only thing was that it meant that last year we had very few students enrolled because most of them had taken it already in the M1. If you did that, then you don't need to do this again if you pass the whole of the year, semester or UE. But if you have any doubts, consult the Modalités de contrôle des connaissances and the Tableau des équivalences on the ERUD homepage. They are the only sure sources of information on this and any other administrative questions. So the course itself is doing well, and I don't see any particular need to change it massively, although I have got a few innovations this year. If you've seen it before, you might notice those, including these videos. But hopefully, if you've taken it before, there won't be any major surprises. The only thing is that because I'm updating a previous course, sometimes I might forget a small thing, so there might be little slips on occasion. Do please forgive me. A little slip like a slip of the tongue just there. So, in brief, this is a linguistics course, but it's much broader than that and more specific at the same time. More specific because it's corpus linguistics, but broader because we're not just doing linguistics. You can choose a topic in any field you like. Linguistique, didactique, littérature, civilisation. Or indeed completely something different, entirely your own interests. Doesn't need to be, the topic you choose doesn't need to be connected to your studies, although it may very well be. When you have your area, you then need to narrow it down to something much more specific based on research questions. Now, the notion of research question is really important. If you have clear research questions at the beginning of your work to which you bring answers of some kind, even if the answers are negative or the answers are we still don't know, they're still answers. Okay? So you need to have your topic, which is focused, and to help you with that, you need to compile a corpus of yourself in relation to that. Now, a corpus, what do we mean by a corpus? A corpus means lots of different things. For our purposes, it means a collection of texts when it is useful to use software to help you read those texts or analyze those texts. If you have a text which is one paragraph, you don't need corpus linguistics tools because you can just read it. So a corpus for our purposes, it's a small corpus, I would say a minimum of 20 texts, 30, 40, 50, 100, 1,000. It can be quite easy to collect large corpora. And a minimum number of words, I would say probably a minimum of 20,000 words. 30, 50, 100,000 words, a million words, it can be more. But it must be a corpus which you collect yourself. Now, if your individual texts are very short, you will need quite a lot of them, and you might still not get very many words. If your texts are very big, for example, if each text is a novel, you might have fewer texts and still get, for example, 100,000 words or 500,000 words. Don't try to go over 1 million words because that will be difficult with ANCONC. So you have your text, you have your topic, and you have your questions. You create your corpus, which is connected to your topic, which will allow you to answer your questions. Your questions and your corpus go together. The texts in your corpus need to be in TXT format so that you can analyze them using a piece of software called ANCONC. ANCONC is free, downloadable, you can save it to a computer very, very quickly. It's stable, it has no advertisements, no spying, no problem. Now, doing a corpus linguistics project, don't necessarily expect to get definitive 100% answers in relation to the types of questions you may have. Clearly, there has to be a relationship between the questions and the corpus so you can at least address them. And again, this is still a linguistics course and you'll be looking at language. Even if your corpus is a literary corpus or a civilisation corpus, we're looking at those things through the lens of linguistics, of language. My hope is that it won't just be an academic exercise, and I hope that some of you will be able to use these tools and techniques for other parts of your studies, and indeed maybe in some of your external, just found a mistake there, in non-academic context. Anytime you're dealing with text and you want to know what texts are about, corpus linguistics tools can be really useful. So you have your topic, you have your questions, you have your corpus. What you need to produce at the end, this is the only thing which is marked, is a short research paper. It's about 10 pages. It's about 10 pages of text. So that does not count the cover page, it does not count a table of contents, it does not count the references and bibliography, it doesn't count appendices. If in your 10 pages you have lots of screenshots or tables, they don't count. I want 10 pages of text. Please note that. One of the biggest reasons that students don't pass is they give me a document which is 10 pages long, but half of that is figures. So they only give me 5 pages of text. Now you can't pass if you do that. So the research paper itself, I've given you a template on our course page. The template will show you that you need to introduce your topic, outline the methodology, present and discuss the results, give personal feedback, and so on. The template is a very, very important part of the course. It gives lots of information. On our course page, you'll find various other resources with links here or on our course page. The starter document explains things more fully. I suggest you begin with that. There are also practical demonstration examples, so download the various things to a safe, accessible place on your desktop, follow the examples, you can hear my voice walking you through them, you can see my video screen, and do them yourself at the same time, or pause the video and do the examples. It's really important to get that hands-on experience. Don't just be told and expect it to go in. You need to do it yourself to really understand. There is, as I say, also a model format paper or template which you must use as standard for your RP. To help you really understand the importance of the template, I put a lot of information which previously was elsewhere in the course into the template itself. So everything which is yellow is in the template is information which you should delete, but it's important information, so read it before you delete it. Okay? When you've finished your RP, you need to upload it to the course page. Don't send it by email. You don't need to post it either. I don't need a paper version, just the electronic version. Upload it to the course page. Also on our course page, you'll find a blank mark sheet, so you know the kind of thing I'll be looking at in your papers. There's also a selection of past student papers. These are only good ones. So please look at those carefully if you're stuck for ideas, but don't just copy them or assume that they're perfect. Even though they all passed, and most of them passed with quite good marks, they're never perfect. So those are the specifics for the course. More general information you can find, for example, in a book, which I strongly recommend that you buy, to give you a taste of what corpus linguistics is. You'll find the reference to that in the starter. Also in the starter, there are links to a couple of MOOCs, massive open online courses. These are free online courses. One is from Lancaster University, presented mainly by Tony McHenry, which will give you an opportunity to explore a number of different aspects of corpus linguistics, hands-on yourself. There's a link to another MOOC from the University of Queensland, presented by Pete Crossthwaite. So that's for people who want to use corpora for language teaching or language learning. And the various other resources as well, from different places which you may find useful, depending on your interest and the topic you choose. Now, I do have to end this executive summary or brief introduction with a caveat. Most students, when they first encounter corpus linguistics, find it quite intimidating. Don't panic. This is normal, this is to be expected. It's almost certainly going to be new to virtually all of you, so everybody is in the same boat. I've been teaching corpus linguistics at Eredy and elsewhere for nearly 20 years, and you can do it. My experience shows, and experience of previous students shows, it is possible to do it. It takes a bit of time, so don't panic immediately. If you spend 20 hours on the course and still don't understand it, then you can panic, but don't panic before that. No, you should never panic anyway, of course, I'm just joking. But it does take a bit of time to get the feel for it, which is why I've given these various resources and point you to other materials. Especially, I've given you this year for the first time an introduction to Anconc itself using a corpus which I hope is relevant to you. My objective with this course is really to get you thinking about language for yourselves, not just asking a teacher or asking a native speaker or looking up in a grammar book or Googling it, but deciding for yourself what you want to look at and coming to your own conclusions, thinking about language. So to do this, you need to decide your topic, work at your own pace, prepare an academic paper at the end. That should also be good practice. I hope it will be genuinely useful, and I hope by the time you've finished your research paper that you will have found it genuinely satisfying. Most of the students, if you look at the personal feedback sections, do find it a very satisfying experience by the end. And of course, if you do continue to use some of these tools or techniques that you discover after the end of the course, I'll be very happy. Okay, so now let's get serious, move on to the starter document.